This is Burns Hargis back for another edition of Inside OSU, and today we have a very special guest, former Secretary of Defense Bob Gates, also former Director of the CIA. Bob, we're delighted to have you with us.
Thank you.
You're here at OSU for the global briefings, and I understand you've made speeches in Tulsa, Oklahoma City, and now Stillwater.
You all have worked me pretty hard.
I know you can't talk much about the CIA's activities during your long tenure there, but is it as glamorous and dramatic as the movies make it out to be?
No.
It's not?
No. It's a lot like police work in the sense that there's a lot of preparatory time, there's a lot of just grinding through the details, whether you're in operations or analysis, of getting ready and of planning and of kind of waiting for opportunities to occur or the right timing. And it's sort of like what they describe as flying airplanes. You know, it's hours and hours of boredom punctuated by seconds of sheer terror. And that's the way this business is. I will say this. I was on the analytical side, and there is nothing quite like being 24 years old and sitting down at your, what was then a Selectric typewriter, and writing a piece of analysis that you know is going to be in front of the President of the United States the next day.
Hollywood has had a field day with stories about the CIA and all these spectacular successes and some failures. But there's a movie out right now called Argo that recounts the rescue of a group of embassy workers that had gotten out of the embassy in Tehran when it was taken over by the students. Is that a true story? They say it's a true story.
It absolutely is a true story. I was executive assistant to the director of CIA at the time, and attended meetings when this was being planned, and in fact ended up writing a blurb for Tony Mendez's book. I mean, it's his story, and he is the protagonist. He is the guy who organized it and made it happen.
Was it his idea?
Yeah, pretty much. And as the line in the movie goes, it was the best of a bunch of bad ideas. And it is a remarkable story of ingenuity and creativity and courage. And of all the years and all the movies about CIA that have been made, this is one, and maybe the only one as far as I'm concerned, that is real and it's accurate.
There has been enormous criticism from time to time about the CIA of not predicting some of these things that have happened, whether it was the exact moment of the Soviet Union dissolving, or 9/11, or all the variety of things. And of course, I guess the CIA is really not able to defend itself.
Well, you know, in a way, it was best captured by President Kennedy when he dedicated the CIA headquarters, and he said, your triumphs will remain unknown, and your failures will be trumpeted. And I think that's proved to be a very accurate forecast. I mean, the reality, and one of the things that I've tried to do since becoming a very senior CIA official and then as Secretary of Defense, is to remind people nobody can predict the future. What people don't realize is that most of the leaders of these countries make up their minds on this stuff at the last minute and influenced by aspects that we don't even think about.
Let me do a lightning round with just, you've served 8 presidents. On just a couple of words about each one that would sum up, if that's fair.
No, it's not, but
of course it isn't. But and I'll make it easier. Let's start with ones you really work closely with, rather than as a junior CIA officer. Let's start with Reagan.
Probably the only truly great president that I worked for. Had a vision about that the Soviet Union could be brought down on his watch. He was actually the only person in his own administration who believed that, but he was right. And just this great optimist who had confidence in this country, but he believed that that evil empire could be defeated, and he was right.
Okay, George H.W. Bush.
Will someday get the credit he deserves. There is no precedent in history for a great empire collapsing without a great war. And someday Bush will get the credit he deserves for bringing about the collapse of the Soviet Union, the final victory in the Cold War, the liberation of Eastern Europe, and the reunification of Germany, all without a shot being fired.
All right, George Bush, the son.
A man of strong conviction, a man very confident of his own judgments, more of a, as he would say himself, more of a gut decision maker, more thoughtful, more intellectually curious than he's given credit for. Was always reading books, and I enjoyed working for him.
And Barack Obama.
Very analytical, extremely curious. One of his sayings that I heard him repeat a number of times was, "If I don't understand it, I can't defend it." So he always wanted more information, and it could get frustrating at times because he was just a vacuum cleaner for information, and sometimes these things seem to go on a long time. But the other side of that coin is when he needed to make a big decision fast, he would do it and could do it. And the other thing that surprised me about him was, here's a guy who had actually never run anything before becoming president of the United States, and he embraced decision making. He relished making big decisions, and he wasn't afraid to do so.
I liked what you said about a leader and the multiple definitions, but the one that really meant something to you.
My dictionary lists 54 definitions, but the one that I like the best is the one who acts as a guide, one who shows the way. I think there are a number of people in senior positions who are what I would call really good managers that in effect manage the status quo, make the trains run on time. But a real leader is somebody who is in charge of a big institution and says, how can I lead this institution and the people who are a part of it to a new level of excellence? How do I make something that's already good even better? That, for me, is what a leader is all about.
Well, and I think that for you describes you. Your leadership in the CIA, your leadership in the Department of Defense of Texas A&M University, and now William and Mary, you've certainly shown the way. And we are proud to have you on our campus.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
Secretary
very much.
Gates.
Yep.
Appreciate it.